I need to cite you as a cautionary tale to help my country. And the moral of that tale is, yes, you can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right. At its worst, Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness. And have you ever seen the Eurovision Song Contest? They actually listen to that crap. Look, everywhere in the world, I'm sure, seems great when you haven't lived there. I hear people tell me Costa Rica is beautiful. I'm sure it is. You'll also get bitten by a snake on the flight over.
The woke left has made criticizing America a regular habit. They praise the country when their side holds power, but the moment they lose influence, they describe the nation as a complete mess. Bill Maher sees this as clear hypocrisy and calls it out without hesitation. His response was direct and sharp. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, and let's get into the discussion.
Again, I'm confused by this political message. Vote for me because I hate it here. Now, does America have big problems? Yes, I've often cited the America sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot. And we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it.
Bill Maher spoke very clearly about this issue. He believes America doesn't need people who give up when things get difficult. Instead, it needs individuals who are ready to stay, face problems, and work toward real solutions. According to Bill Maher, it makes no sense to claim you care about the country while walking away the moment challenges appear. He says this behavior has become common among the woke left. When problems show up, many choose to complain, step away, or criticize from a distance instead of helping fix the situation. Bill Maher argues that this attitude damages trust, weakens the country, and makes political success meaningless if there is no real commitment to improving things. For Bill Maher, real patriotism means staying involved, accepting responsibility, and continuing to work even when progress is slow. His message is simple. America needs people who take action, not people who walk away.
The problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. 59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing. I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave?
This situation is what confuses critics like Bill Maher. He says the woke left often sends mixed signals. On one side, they support open borders and encourage people from around the world to come to America because of the opportunities here. But at the same time, they speak about America as if it is unbearable and talk about leaving whenever politics doesn't go their way. Bill Maher raises an important question. If the country is truly so terrible that you want to leave it, why encourage others to move here? To him, this isn't just about policy. It reflects a certain attitude. According to Bill Maher, some voices on the woke left focus heavily on criticizing the country, especially when their political party is not in control. This creates confusion for voters and pushes many citizens away, while weakening the very nation they say they support.
If, for your exile, you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK, not that they want you. At best, you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home. It took me only 4 days in Amsterdam to learn that while I admire Amsterdam, I don't want to live there. The buildings are cramped and shaped like needles. The food is awful. The TV's in a different language. It's wet and cold. The people are polite but cold, and they do a bunch of weird shit. The explanation for, according to my friend, was, just remember they're high.
Bill Maher believes the reality is straightforward. He argues that if some of America's loudest critics moved to another country, they would likely start complaining there as well. In his view, the issue is less about the country itself and more about perspective. While America is not perfect, Bill Maher says it still stands as one of the strongest nations in the world. Its influence, innovation, and freedoms continue to attract attention globally. That is why so many people apply for visas and wait months or even years for the chance to move there. According to Bill Maher, critics often focus only on the negatives and ignore the bigger picture. Before deciding to leave, he believes people should ask whether any other country truly offers the same level of opportunity and potential.
Italy always makes the list of great expat destinations because of all those stories on CNN about how you can buy a house in a quaint Italian village for $1, except it's not a house in the way we think of one, as a structure with plumbing and electricity and a roof. When these places were built, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was still straight. Sure, you can spend $100,000 to make them livable, and I'm sure it's no problem to find reliable workmen in rural Italy who you'll then fall in love with, like in Under the Tuscan Sun, But now you're living in some dinky village in Italy with nothing to do but watch the old guys play that game with the wooden balls.
Bill Maher also criticized how modern political messaging and media sometimes present other countries as perfect places to live. He says many advertisements and online narratives show carefully chosen images that create a dreamlike picture of life abroad. In these portrayals, everything appears cleaner, simpler, and more organized than in the United States. But Bill Maher argues that this image often hides the full reality. Life in those countries comes with its own challenges that are rarely shown. He believes this idealized image may lead some people on the woke left to assume other nations are automatically better than America. According to Bill Maher, the danger of this thinking is that it distracts people from recognizing both the strengths and the problems in their own country.
And have you ever seen the Eurovision Song Contest? They actually listen to that crap. Look, everywhere in the world, I'm sure, seems great when you haven't lived there. I hear people tell me Costa Rica is beautiful. I'm sure it is. You'll also get bitten by a snake on the flight over. The travel site Lonely Planet describes Sri Lanka as endless beaches, timeless ruins, welcoming people. And if you love child marriage, food shortages, and the strictest abortion laws in the world, Sri Lanka could be right for you.
Bill Maher encourages people to research carefully before praising other countries as perfect examples. He believes that a closer look would reveal that many of these nations have strict rules and limitations that many Americans might find difficult to accept. In some places, economic problems, slow growth, or political challenges can make everyday life more complicated than it appears from the outside. Social acceptance and tolerance may also not be as strong as promotional messages suggest, and newcomers sometimes face suspicion or resistance. For Bill Maher, the main point is simple. Instead of chasing an unrealistic image of life somewhere else, Americans should recognize the strengths of their own country while working to improve its weaknesses.
But I hate zombie lies. Zombie lies. That's when things change, but what people say about them doesn't. Yes, for decades, places like Vancouver and Amsterdam and Stockholm seemed idyllic because everything was free and all the energy we needed was produced by riding a bike to your job at the windmill. Canada was where all the treasured goals of liberalism worked perfectly. It was like NPR come to life. But with poutine. Canada was the Statue of Liberty with a low-maintenance haircut and cross-country skis, a giant idealized blue state with single-payer health care, gun control, and abortion on polite demand.
For years, many people on the woke left have talked about Canada as an ideal alternative to the United States. It is often described as calmer, more balanced, and more orderly. However, Bill Maher says that this image often changes once people examine the facts more closely. Like every country, Canada faces serious problems. Rising living costs, housing challenges, pressure on public services, and political disagreements are all part of its reality. According to Bill Maher, the idea that another country is automatically better can be misleading. Every system has its own difficulties, and assuming everything is easier somewhere else can lead to disappointment.
Problem with thinking everything's better in Canada. It's not. Not anymore, anyway. Last year, Canada added 1.3 million people, which is a lot in 1 year, the equivalent of the U.S. adding 11 million migrants in 1 year. And now they're experiencing a housing crisis even worse than ours. And we're sleeping in tents. The median price of a home here is $346,000. In Canada, converted to U.S. dollars, it's $487,000. If Barbie moved to Winnipeg, she wouldn't be able to afford her dream house, and Ken would be working at Tim Hortons.
Real numbers support this point. Canada is currently dealing with a major housing affordability problem. In cities like Vancouver, the average home price is over $1.17 million, while the median family income is about $133,000. This creates a huge gap between earnings and housing costs. In Toronto and Vancouver, the price-to-income ratio is above 10, meaning homes cost more than 10 times what the average household earns in a year. In recent years, housing costs across Canada have increased by more than 20%. For people who see Canada as a perfect place to move, these numbers tell a different story. Buying a home has become extremely difficult for many residents, which challenges the idea that the country is an easy solution for those seeking a better life.
So does their vaunted healthcare system, which ranks dead last among high-income countries in access to primary healthcare and ability to see a doctor in a day or two. And it's not for lack of spending. Of the 30 countries with universal coverage, Canada spends over 13% of its economy on it, which is a lot of money for free health care. Look, I'm not saying Canada still isn't a great country. It is, but those aren't paradise numbers. If Canada was an apartment, the lead feature might be America adjacent. And if America was a rental car, Canada would be America or similar.
Another issue often discussed is healthcare. Some critics claim the American system is uniquely flawed and point to Canada as a better model. However, Bill Maher says the reality is more complicated. In Canada, patients often face long delays before seeing specialists or receiving certain treatments. By 2025, the median waiting time for specialist care reached about 28.6 weeks, more than half a year. In some cases, procedures like orthopedic surgery can take close to a year to schedule. These long waits affect services like MRIs, specialist appointments, and surgeries. Even leaders in Canada have acknowledged that the system faces serious delays and that many citizens still struggle to find regular access to doctors. For Bill Maher, the lesson is simple. Every healthcare system has strengths and weaknesses, and idealizing another country's system without understanding its problems can lead to unrealistic expectations.
Canada, I'm not saying any of this because I enjoy it. I don't, because I've always enjoyed you. But I need to cite you as a cautionary tale to help my country. And the moral of that tale is, yes, you can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right. At its worst, Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness. Like the saga of Canadian shop teacher Kayla Lemieux, whose pronouns are she, her, and those.
Finally, Bill Maher used Canada as an example of what can happen when political culture becomes too focused on strict ideology. He believes that when social pressure and cultural expectations dominate politics, many ordinary voters begin to feel disconnected. According to Bill Maher, some people who once strongly supported the political left are now moving closer to the center. Their beliefs may not have changed dramatically, but they feel the movement itself has become less practical and less open to criticism. His warning is clear. Political movements that ignore internal concerns risk losing support over time. Bill Maher believes honest self-correction is necessary if any movement wants to remain credible and influential. His final message is direct. Idealizing other countries, pushing extreme ideas, and ignoring real problems can damage public trust. For the left, Bill Maher says the solution is simple. Focus on practical thinking, face difficult truths, and adjust before voters lose confidence completely. And with that, we wrap up today's discussion. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.